So imagine a 26-year-old opens his banking app and sees 55,000 just sitting there. It's not invested, not assigned to a house, not building anything. It's just sitting there like a very polite financial hostage. On the screen, it looks responsible enough, right? It looks safe. It looks like adulthood. But then you run the numbers and realize that safe decision, it may have just cost your future self $750,000. And here's where it starts to feel a little ridiculous, because for years, many people believed they were playing it smart. I mean, one story that captures this mindset starts in Silicon Valley, right after Facebook started taking off. Because back then, Facebook, it still felt new. People were still bouncing between MySpace and whatever other social media was out there. And then came the early 2010s. Facebook went public in 2012, and stories started spreading about startup employees and early investors suddenly cashing out for real life-changing amounts of money. And for a lot of young people back then, they were surrounded by that environment, and it created this powerful belief that if you weren't getting in on the next big startup, why settle for slow and steady investing? Because index funds, they seemed boring by comparison. An 8% annual return didn't sound exciting when everyone was talking about massive exits and overnight wealth. So many people spent years ignoring the stock market altogether, convinced that the real opportunities were somewhere else. So imagine an average salary around $40,000, living at home, saving a good chunk of it, even $500 a month, into an S&P 500 index fund would have been about $31,000 over those 5 years. Left alone, that becomes $750,000 to over $1 million by the time you're 65, depending on returns. Instead, a lot of people chose zero. And zero, compounded for decades, still equals zero. Even waiting for the perfect opportunity is a decision, right? It's deciding to earn nothing while time keeps moving. And you see the same thing play out with Gen Z right now. TikTok influencers and Instagram reels pushing crypto, moonshots, sport betting apps, even prediction markets on random stuff like government shutdowns or the high temperature in New York on a Wednesday. The world is just crazy. But they've checked out of the slow path because the system made it look boring and lame. Now, when you grow up feeling like something important is missing, you can start believing that security is fragile. And there was once a friend of mine who also wanted to make sure there was enough money, enough savings, enough cushion so that nothing could catch him off guard. Even when things were going well, part of him was still preparing for something to go wrong. And it took years for him to realize that mindset was shaping a lot of his financial decisions. Heater off in the winter, frozen meals at home, even when he could have afforded to eat a little bit better. He sacrificed comfort to keep the number looking safe. And that fear has been passed down through generations. For years, investing felt dangerous, so the money stayed on the sidelines. Then one day, the numbers, they end up telling some different story. The market had averaged roughly 8% to 10% returns since 1926. Suddenly, the bigger risk didn't look like losing money in stocks. It looked like inflation quietly eating away 2.5%, 3% of every purchasing power every single year. And in about 24 years, that erosion cuts the value of the cash in half. And the scarcity mindset felt safe on the surface, but it came with a hidden cost. So the money finally went to work and began growing in ways that cash never could. And this is where the story gets interesting, because you have to imagine like 4 people investing $2,000 a year for 20 years. 3 invest in stocks with different timing. Bad, average, perfect. The 4th keeps everything in cash. Investor D is the couch, undefeated at doing nothing. No matter how poorly the market is timed, the investor who takes action still beats the one who never moves. And that lesson lands hard because it proves that imperfect action often beats perfect inaction. And then another trap appeared later. A young saver in his mid-20s, had accumulated roughly about $55,000 to $60,000. An emergency fund held about $12,000. That left more than $40,000 just sitting idly. Not for a down payment, not for a business launch. It was just sitting there. Money without a purpose, it just doesn't work. It stands in the hallway with its shoes on, asking whether anyone is actually going to go out tonight. Now, banks pay almost nothing on regular checking accounts, and inflation quietly takes the rest while the banking app pretends nothing happened. And eventually a plan emerged. The emergency fund stayed intact, a comfortable cash buffer remained, but everything else began moving towards investments. Not perfectly at first, sometimes 1,000, sometimes 5,000, but at least the money had a direction. And the lesson was simple. Every dollar needs a job. Saving for a house in 2 years, that's a job. Retirement, that's a job. The rest should be working or at least parked somewhere that pays more than emotional support interest. Now, then came the friend group ceiling. In the early 20s, they're all in their early 20s, a group of friends spent weekdays playing video games and weekends out. Nobody talked about business. Nobody talked about investing. Nobody talked about building wealth. The topic had just never surfaced. And that kind of environment, it creates an invisible limit. Because if nobody around you discusses wealth building, the room, it may feel comfortable, but comfort, it can be expensive. Even in the middle of Silicon Valley, many young people weren't having those conversations. But everything changed when one member of that world entered the financial industry. Suddenly, the conversations were about ETFs, portfolio rebalancing, and what the market did today. And the environment rewired the thinking. And that's why simply watching content like this matters, because most people never take that step. The final trap was being risk adverse in exactly the wrong direction. A generation that graduated shortly after the financial crisis watched markets fall 35 to 38%. And that fear, it lingered. Stocks looked dangerous. Meanwhile, inflation risk and opportunity costs stayed hidden. And cash appeared stable on the screen. The number never really changed. 40,000 still looked like 40,000. But meanwhile, groceries, rent, insurance, used cars, and repairs kept moving the finish line farther and farther away. So what ended up happening? It was like standing still on an airport walkway, moving in the wrong direction and saying, gosh, I'm glad at least nothing happened. And that, at the end of the day, guys, that's the trap.